everyone, and welcome to our meeting here of Weyburn City Council via Zoom on Monday, April 12th, 2021. Just to start off, we'll do the roll call. Councilor Van Betju. You'll have to unmute there.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, I'm present.
Councilor Janke.
Present.
Councilor Corrigan.
Present.
Councilor Richards.
Present.
Councilor Morissette.
Here.
Councilor Mickle.
Here.
City Clerk Richter.
Here.
City Manager Warren.
Present.
Director of Engineering Wilkinson.
Present.
Director of Finance Nassau.
Here.
Communications Coordinator Campbell.
Here.
Can I have a motion to allow remote electronic council meeting, please?
Yeah, Your Worship, I make a motion that City Council suspend the rules of order as set out in the City of Weyburn Council Procedures Bylaw to allow for City Council and City Administration to participate in the regular meeting of City Council this 14th day of April 2021.
Your Worship, this is Councilor Morissette, and I'll second that motion.
Did you say the 14th or the 12th day?
Well, I may have said the 14th, but I most assuredly meant the 12th.
Okay. And all in favor, Councilor Van Betju,
Yes.
Councilor Janke,
Yes.
Councilor Corrigan,
Yes.
Councilor Richards,
Yes.
Councilor Morissette,
Yes.
Councilor Mickle,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Moving forward, can we have the approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting, strategic planning and priorities, please? Do you have a motion? Councilor Van Betju,
That the minutes of the regular council meeting and the strategic planning and priorities committee meeting held March 22nd, 2021 be approved.
second.
Your Worship, this is Councilor Corrigan. I will second that motion.
Call the question. How do you vote? Councilor Van Betju,
Yes.
Councilor Janke,
Yes.
Councilor Corrigan,
Yes.
Councilor Richards,
Yes.
Councilor Morissette,
Yes.
Councilor Mickle,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Are there any additions to the agenda from administration?
Thank you, Your Worship. There's no additions from administration tonight.
From council? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Public hearings and notices, there are none. There are no delegations, proclamations, or petitions at this point in time. Reports of standing committees. Police Commission, Councilor Van Betju, if you would, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The regular meeting of the Weyburn Police Commission was held by electronic means at 4 p.m. Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. There were no additions to the agendas. In correspondence, Board Chair McCormick advised he received an inquiry from a member of the public inquiring if the board would support Bill C-21 and replied he cannot comment on support as the board is waiting on further facts and understanding of the bill prior to determining support of the bill. Chief Blunden provided the mayor's report, stats, data, arrests, and mental health assisted and medical calls for February 2021. The chief noted property crimes are down except for break and enters. Crimes against persons are up. Chief Blunden also provided the accounts payable report for February 2021. Chief Blunden then provided a budgetary report for February 2021. Chief Blunden noted a mistake on his first page of the budget report ending February 28th, 2021 under expenses, and the variance should have been a negative 19,000. He advised that reimbursements take quite a while to come in, so numbers are skewed a little bit. Reimbursements being revenue that we receive from various ministries. There was no unfinished business. Under new business, the board discussed Bill C-21 and agreed that until there is more information provided and there may be still changes to the bill, it is difficult for the board to determine if they support this Bill C-21 or not. On board governance, City Clerk Richter asked that any recommended changes be emailed to her to add into the document, and she'll bring the amendments back to the April meeting for the board's review. The board then moved to in camera. And I just wanted to note that we've moved in camera quite often the last few meetings, and for the public just to know that these are for typically labor, human resource, or negotiation discussions. The board then moved out of in camera and the meeting was adjourned.
And I just want to make note too, that as sitting on the Board of Police Commission, I disallowed myself from excuse myself from negotiation as conflict of interest. So I'm not a part of any of the negotiations whatsoever with the police board and the police membership. Moving forward, just make note that will be made note and received and can be viewed on the city website. As our consent agendas, that we have the water treatment, public works report, and the building department report. Can I have a motion to receive, please?
Yes, your worship, Councillor Mickle speaking. Make a motion that the following items on the consent agenda be accepted as presented: the water treatment plan of March, the public works report of March, and the building department report of March.
Your worship, this is Councillor Janke, and I would like to second that motion.
Call the question. Those in favor? Councillor Van Betju,
Yes.
Councillor Janke,
Yes.
Councillor Corrigan,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Morissette,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Next, motion, accounts payable. Do I have a motion, please?
Yes, your worship, this is Councillor Morissette, and I would like to make the motion that the purchases in the amount of $1,758,550.67 from March the 19th to April the 7th, 2021 be approved. And that's the purchases including quick pays in the amount of $331,000, $879.02, accounts payable in the amount of $922,468.46, direct withdrawals in the amount of $497,240.30, and debit card transactions in the amount of $962.89.
Do I have a second?
Worship, it's Councillor Richards, and I'll second that motion.
Call the question. All in favor? Councillor Van Betju,
Yes.
Councillor Janke,
Yes.
Councillor Corrigan,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Morissette,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. The next item on the agenda is the Lagoon Dredging RFP. If you would, please, Jennifer.
Yes, good evening. So this report that I'm about to present is the 2021 Lagoon Dredging. So in the 2021 budget, we had allocated $300,000 for our Lagoon Dredging project. We requested contractors be able to dredge and remove roughly 1,500 cubic meters of biosolids or sludge around the 2 sewage inlets of the Equalization Lagoon facility. The sludge is to be dewatered, filtrate fluids back into the lagoon and cells. The sludge needs to be sampled as laboratory analysis will be performed, and then the removal and disposal of waste materials according to the regulations based on what we received from the sampling. So on February 5th, 2021, we did put a request for proposal on SAS tenders and the city website. Quotations were to be received by the City of Weyburn as of February 26th at 2 p.m. We received a total of 3 proposals. The bids were reviewed and the evaluation was done of the disposal costs with an environmental consulting firm. Based on this evaluation, the city decided to remove the disposal costs from the bid criteria and will manage this externally with the assistance of environmental consultant. The companies that submitted the 3 original proposals were then contacted to reissue their bids and remove the disposal costs. These updated bids are summarized below. We received three. So we had Dairyland, Caden Industries, and Contact General Contractors. All bidders submitted the proper elements as outlined in the RFP and were valid bids. So based on an assessment of the evaluation and the pricing, we are recommending that the 2021 Lagoon Dredging contract be awarded to Caden Industries of Calgary, Alberta, as per the cost detailed and the conditions stipulated in the RFP.
Do I have a motion, please?
Your worship, this is Councillor Corrigan. I would like to make the motion that the bid of Caden Industries to provide the service of lagoon dredging in the amount of $128,737.90 be approved as recommended.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that, your worship.
Call the discussion.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle, I wonder if you could maybe give the general public a little bit of insight as why these bids were some of them were quite high. In fact, on both ends, high, and what we're going with, and are you acceptable with what we're going with because of the numbers?
Yeah, absolutely, Councillor Mickle. So we have the three bids there. So in the case of Caden, they are using a process that they obviously, for proprietary reasons, don't give us full details of the process, but they use centrifuges and dewatering tanks. And so actually they have a more efficient process where they can actually do it in a quicker time frame because of the process they run. And then the sludge is put into bins to be removed. So with Caden Industries, they're actually predicting they can do it in 13 days. Contact, they use more of a standard format of geotubes, and this requires, they have very high mobilization and demobilization costs because they have to prepare a pad to lay out these geotubes. So with them, they are actually proposing about 4 weeks to do their process. With Dairyland, they are also using a centrifuge process, but they are actually predicting it'll take them 60 days. So that's why they come in a lot higher, is because with the process they're using, they say that this is actually going to take them close to 60 days. So that is why you would see quite a different time range, is based on the processes that these companies use and how long they think it'll take them. So we have contacted Caden's references to confirm that this process is effective for this job and that they have a full understanding of it. And we're confident in their quote and what they'll be able to do. So we are comfortable with going ahead with them.
Thanks, Jen.
Go ahead, Mr. Richards.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. I'm kind of two parts to my question, and Councillor Mickle already asked one of them, which was why the discrepancy. Also hoping that you could just give folks that might be watching or following up in the media in the days to come, what exactly is happening here with the dredging of the lagoon?
So when we put all the waste into the lagoon, obviously the solids build up over time. And with that, we then need to go in and we need to dredge those solids out. So when we dredge the solids out, we do testing to determine if they go to a regular landfill or they go to industrial waste landfill, and it'll just depend on the laboratory analysis comes back. But essentially, this is what makes room in our lagoons. So we do filter all the water back in, but it is essentially removing all the solids because they'll actually build up over time and plug our inlets. So,
thank you.
Just one last question, Jen. These are concrete tenders, in the idea that if it goes over 13 days, that they can't come back to us and say, "Oh, we need to charge you more."
Yeah, we will be working with them and evaluating and that's when we sign the agreement. They are held to that price. And the only difference would be if we were to change the scope, but based on the requirements there, they are held to that price for the work they're doing.
Okay. Any further questions?
No, thank you.
Hearing none, Call the question. All those in favor, Councillor Van Betchu,
Yes.
Councillor Janky,
Yes.
Councillor Corrigan,
yes,
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Morissette,
yes,
Councillor Mickle,
yes,
Mayor Roy, yes. Passed unanimously. Moving forward, the next one, Public Works, pardon me, water main replacement on Allen Street. If you would, please, Jen.
Yep. So this one is for the Allen Street water main replacement. So in the 2021 budget, we have allocated $350,000 for the Allen Street water main replacement project. So this is specifically to cover the replacement of the actual water main. So we've asked contractors to replace approximately 240 meters of 200 millimeter water main and associated infrastructure, and then backfill, compact, and suitably prepare sub-base and base for paving. Following this work, we would end up issuing another tender for the contractors to repave the affected section of roadway, and that cost is included in that $350,000. So what you're seeing for the water main is just the infrastructure below ground, and then the paving would come at a later date. So on March 12th, the Allen Street water main replacement request for proposal was posted on staff tenders on the city website. Quotations were to be received by the city of Weyburn as of Thursday, April 1st at 2 p.m. and we received a total of 4 proposals. As you can see, they are below. We had Margette's Construction, A&B Concrete, Jordan Excavating, and JJ Trucking. All bidders did submit the proper elements as outlined in the RFP. Based on the larger scope of this project, a condition that is outlined in the RFP is as follows. Should a bid be accepted by the city, proponent agrees to furnish a performance bond in the amount of 50% of the contract value and provide proof of insurance. Knowing that this is a condition of award, we did contact the 2 lowest bidders and ask them if they were able to meet this condition. Only one company was able to verify that they could meet the performance bond requirement if they were to receive the award. So with that, the city of Weyburn is making the following recommendation. We are recommending that the 2021 Allen Street water main replacement contract be awarded to A&B Concrete of Weyburn, Saskatchewan, as per the cost detailed and the conditions stipulated in the RFP.
Discussion? Oh, I guess before we discussion, do we have a motion, please?
Your worship, I'd be happy to make that motion. I move that the bid of A&B Concrete Limited of Weyburn, Saskatchewan for the Allen Street water replacement contract in the amount of $135,531 be approved as recommended.
Your worship,
Second.
this is Councillor Morissette, and I will second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion. Mr. Richards?
Thanks, your worship. Just eager to get an understanding from administration, Jen, from our director of engineering. Help me understand the process of the performance bond. Help me understand how or make sure that I understand it all but to submit that requirement in advance. And then what actually is a performance bond at 50%, because that is a significant, that's $70,000. So just looking for some clarity on performance bond.
So it's not necessarily that all that we requested beforehand. It is a condition of award whether you can meet that requirement. So in some, they will submit in their project of understanding saying, yes, I can meet this performance bond, there are no issues. Some will actually provide the certificate of insurance and a verification of the bond with their RFP process. And then some it is more that they will provide it at the time of award. So with something like a performance bond, it is a certain criteria where they do have to submit documentation based on their financials, different things like that to meet a bond requirement. And then they would have the insurance saying, yes, we can meet that bond requirement. We do this in situations where it is a higher contract value, and it's to ensure that we can get it done in a very timely fashion. With a water main, you are you are limiting people's services at some point, as well as you are digging up a significant part of the road. So that's why on a project like this, we tend to ask it to make sure that it gets done in a timely fashion and that we don't leave the city in a situation or any of our citizens in a situation they don't want to be in, where they might not have water or they might have a road torn up for an extended period of time.
That's good clarity. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Any further questions? Hearing none. Call the question. Councillor Van Betchu, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Janke,
Yes.
Councillor Corrigan,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Morissette,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Next, that item on the agenda is the water and waste infrastructure RFP.
Okay, it's me again. Okay, so this is for the 2021 water and wastewater infrastructure recommendation. So in 2021, the city budgeted for water and wastewater infrastructure improvements, work to be performed by contractors. The proposed work was divided into 4 areas. So we have hydrant replacements, and we've identified 5 locations for a budget of $35,000. We do have street valve replacements for a total of 5 locations, and those were also a budget of $35,000. Manhole refurbishments, we have 4 locations, and it's a budget of $65,000. Just to note that $65,000 in a larger contract, there is money as well in contracted sewer repairs within that number, so there's not a breakdown between the two. It just kind of depends on what we have for the year. And then we do have catch basin repair and replacement at 4 locations for a budget of $25,000. So on March 12th, the request for proposal was posted on SAS Tenders on the city's website. The RFP was divided into the 4 parts as stated above, and potential bidders were informed they can bid on any or they can bid on all of the parts. So quotations were to be received by the City of Weyburn by Thursday, April 1st at 1 p.m. And we did receive a total of 4 proposals as stated below. So Margette's Construction, they bid on 3 of the 4 parts. Top Shot Concrete chose to only bid on part 3, the manhole refurbishment. Jordan Excavating bid on all 4, and A&B Concrete bid on 3 of the 4 parts. So all bidders that submitted proposals met the requirement of the tender and were valid bids, so they were all included. So based on the bid criteria and the pricing, it is recommended that parts 1 and 2 of the 2021 water and wastewater infrastructure contract be awarded to Margette's Construction of Weyburn Sask as per the cost detailed and the conditions stipulated in the RFP. And it is recommended that parts 3 and 4 of the 2021 water and wastewater infrastructure contract be awarded to Jordan Excavating of Regina, Saskatchewan as per the cost detailed and the conditions stipulated in the RFP.
Any questions? First off, can I have a motion, please?
Yeah, Your Worship, it's Councillor Richards. I would make a motion that the recommendation of the Director of Engineering for the award of the water and wastewater infrastructure RFP be accepted as follows. Margette's Construction of Weyburn be awarded part 1, hydrant replacement, in the amount of $17,982, and part 2, the street valve replacement, in the amount of $16,927.50. Further, that Jordan Excavating of Regina be awarded part 3, manhole refurbishment, in the amount of $18,204, and part 4, the catch base repair and replacement, in the amount of $15,861.90.
This is Councillor Mickle, and I second that motion.
Discussion? Hearing none, call the question. Councillor Benetu, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Janke,
Yes.
Councillor Corrigan,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Morissette,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Passed unanimously. The next item in here is the airport board appointment. I guess, is that you again, Jennifer, or is it Mr. Warren?
I can speak to it.
Okay.
On the airport board, we always have a representative from the RM of Weyburn. With the passing of Ron Fellner, who we greatly appreciate his time on the airport board, that position is currently vacant. So the RM has recommended Norm McFadden to take that role on. So we are looking for Norm to be approved for the airport board.
Can I have a motion, please?
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, Marcel. For your worship, yes, I'm pleased to make a motion that Reeve Norm McFadden of the RM of Weyburn number 67 be and hereby be appointed to the Weyburn Airport Board for the remainder of the 2021 calendar year.
Can I have a second?
I'll second that, your worship, Councillor Van Betju.
Comments or discussion? Just again that we really appreciated what Ron Fellner did for the community, and he'll be missed on this board as many other boards. Call the question. All in favor? Mr. Van Betju,
Yes.
Councillor Janke,
Yes.
Councillor Corrigan,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Morissette,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. That completes the motions. We are now moving into the introduction of any bylaws, and there are none today. We're going back to unfinished business, the 2021 concrete tender. Back to you, Jennifer.
Yes, thank you. So this was presented at the last council. So this is for the accessible pedestrian ramp and concrete walkway installation report. So we'll just go through it again. So first of all, we have the pedestrian ramps, which is part one. So we complete an annual program for the installation of accessible pedestrian ramps at priority locations within the city. For the 2021 program, we proposed up to 18 locations at 9 intersections. A lot of these are within the school or parks areas or along the trails. And we budgeted a total of $35,000 to complete this work. The second part of this is coinciding with the completion of the Credit Union Spark Center. There's an adjacent extent of sidewalk and crossings which requires remediation. So along the east side of 5th Street North from 1st Avenue Northeast to Douglas Road, there are several sections of sidewalk, paneling, curb cutouts, and access tie-ins, both as new and replacements which were required to be installed. And we have budgeted a total of $150,000 for this work. So we submitted on March 1st, we had a request for proposals. This was posted on Fast Tenders and the city website. The RFP was divided into 2 parts as stated above, and potential bidders were informed they could bid on either or both of the parts. So quotations were to be received by the city of Weyburn on March 12th, 2021 at 3 p.m. A total of 3 proposals were received with their bids summarized below for part 1 and part 2. After the council meeting on Monday, March 22nd, the city administration was asked to provide further clarification regarding the tender process in regards to this project. So from the purchase of goods, service, and work policy for the city, section 5 is the tender bid proposal acceptance criteria, and it outlines the following 4 points. In all cases, the city reserves the right to refuse any and all tenders, bids, or proposals where the city deems it to be in the best interest of the city to do so. 5.2, in the case of public tenders, the city shall accept the lowest qualified tender or bid meeting the city specifications unless the tender document set out additional and or acceptance criteria. 5.3, for greater certainty, qualified means that in the opinion of the city, the contractor has the expertise and ability physically and financially to supply or perform the goods, services, or work tendered, bid, or proposed, and whose past performance or references are satisfactory to the city. 5.4, in the case of requests for proposals, the city shall accept the proposal which, in the opinion of the city, best meets the requirements of the city unless the proposal document set out additional and or other acceptance criteria. So that's as per our policy. So from the tender posted for this specific project, the following information was provided. Section 7 is the response requirement. So proponents are requested to submit 1 original and 1 electronic copy of their proposal. And we just tell them how to label it. And then the submissions must contain the following information. 1, a statement of project understanding, which ensures that they fully understand what the project is, and that they are able to complete it. We then asked for a schedule for project delivery. We do have some terms. In this case, it had to be completed by September 4th. And so they're to outline a schedule exactly how they would complete it to ensure it's done on time. Number 3 is a completed bid form. So this outlines a breakdown of the cost so they can put in how much it's going to cost them to do the work. Key contact personnel in the event that additional information is required. So we ask that they let us know who at their company we need to contact. A description of previous experience on related projects is considered an asset, so anywhere where they may have done similar work. And then we ask for references from similar projects of similar scope so that we can verify that the work was satisfactory. So section 8 goes to the rejection of proposal elements. So furthermore, a proposal risks being rejected for any of the following reasons. So if the proposal is received after the designated time and date, we won't accept it. Proposal received at other than the designated location. So if it went somewhere and it wasn't where we asked them to send it. Proposal does not contain the required elements, exhibits, nor organized in the required format. So that would be based on the information above. And then the proposal contains excess or extraneous material not called for in the RFP, or the proposal considered not fully responsive to the RFP. And then I just wanted to pull out, there's also a clarifying statement in section 9.1 evaluation process. The lowest or any tender will not necessarily be accepted. So based on the bid submitted and the criteria of the RFP, administration is making the following recommendations. It is recommended that part 1 of the 2021 accessible pedestrian ramps and concrete walkway installation contract be awarded to North Star Concrete as per the cost detailed and the conditions stipulated in the RFP. And it is recommended that part 2 of the 2021 accessible pedestrian ramps and concrete walkway installation contract be awarded to RGM Contracting as per the cost detailed and the conditions stipulated in the RFP.
And did we have a motion, or did we just table that motion, or did we have it not even come to a motion? I think we had a motion because we started discussing this, move it. So do I have a motion though, please?
Your worship, there is a motion from the last meeting that was tabled. So in order to bring that motion back, we'll need someone to make a motion to bring it back to the table.
Okay, if we could, please.
Your worship, this is Councillor Janke. I'll be happy to make that motion. I move that resolution 2021-41, a motion tabled at the March 22nd, 2021 regular council meeting be placed back on the table as follows. Moved by Councillor Van Betju and seconded by Councillor Morissette that the bid of North Star Concrete Inc. for the 2021 pedestrian ramps installation in the amount of $45,792.99 be accepted as recommended.
Do I have a second for that?
Yeah. Yes, your worship, it's Councillor Richards. I'll second that.
Call the question. All in favor, bring this motion back up and tabling it. Councillor Van Betju,
Yes.
Councillor Janke,
Yes.
Councillor Corrigan,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Morissette,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Discussion, if you would please. Any discussion on this?
Your worship, this is Councillor Janke. I'm very conflicted on this. On one hand, I do understand why we tabled this, and I am supportive of going with local bids whenever possible. But on the other hand, this does put the city at some amount of risks to ignore our own procedures and bylaws on the matter. And I don't know that I can really support changing it. So I think that I would support the existing motion as exists.
Mr. Van Betju?
Thank you, your worship. Yeah, I don't really think that this is a matter of right or wrong. I think that there's leniency in the RFP, that we can make allowances for a couple items that were missed. It says right in the RFP that there's a risk that you could be disqualified. It doesn't say that you will be disqualified. So I don't feel there's any legal liability here at all. You know, it's more of an opinion, and to me, it's a matter of being fair. And I think we have to be fair to our local contractors, give them the benefit of the doubt in this case. It's not a typical situation for the city, so I don't think we can say it's going to set a precedence and give us a reputation. You may say that this puts the city in a bad light to out-of-town contractors, but by not making a consideration for the local contractor in this situation could do more damage to the city with local contractors and businesses. We talk about how we want to support local businesses, and now given the chance, we are not backing up our words. We need to support our local businesses. They employ local people, purchase local product, and pay taxes in the city of Weyburn. Keeping pricing in line with local contractors. We need to have local contractors to keep pricing in line. If we don't have local contractors to bid, these out-of-town companies, the prices are just going to rise even worse. So I won't support this. I still support going with the local bid. He was less money. And as I say, I think the few exclusions that he made can be cleared up. Timelines, I'm sure he can meet. That can be a condition of the contract. So I will not support this.
Further comments? Mr. Richards?
Thanks, Your Worship. I will amplify Councillor Janke's comments. I am as torn about this particular thing as I think I've been about anything in my 5 years on City Council. I want 100% to vote in favor of what Councillor Van Betju has said in supporting the local contractor. I think that that's the right thing to do, without doubt, without fail. We need to do that. My concern is for, and pardon my French, but a bastardization of our processes. So I'm going to look to administration right now for some guidance and some clarity on language. Inside of those RFPs, there is language, and that language is vague and nebulous, to say the least. You may be. There are situations where it could be. Is it fair to say that somebody who submitted a bid that was incomplete may be disqualified? Or is it more fair to say somebody that submitted a bid that was incomplete unequivocally will be disqualified? And that is a hard question I'm asking you, and I appreciate whether it's the Director of Engineering and the City Manager that fields this. I appreciate the gravity of that question, but I need to understand that language. Is it a maybe, or is an unequivocally will be?
Mr. Warren?
I can answer that.
Okay.
Sir, I can answer that question. So we have to go through our purchasing bylaw, right? And so, end of the day, it's the requirement of council to make the decision what they want to do for qualification of bids, what to receive. So this is a prime example of what council is going through right now. So we provide this in front of you to make the decision what you want to do moving forward. So it's in our estimation, going through the requirements, that maybe is that they're disqualified because they're not following all the requirements that they require within that document. But we still provide that in front of council to do the review through and through to make a decision on how you want it, because ultimately the decision on what is awarded in a bid is council's decision moving forward.
Okay, thanks for that.
Mr. Corrigan? Mr. Corrigan?
Thank you, Your Worship. I feel for what you're saying, Councillor Van Betju, and many of the things that you have said I agree with. However, we do have standards to follow at this point. I think we have to follow them. I think we have to mitigate risk as much as possible towards the city. Now, with that said, if we want to revisit this bylaw or this policy and look at it and reshape it and clean up some of the wording, I'd be in favor of doing that down the road, so that we don't run into this sort of situation again, that we make it very clear as to, I mean, I think it's clear already, but I think that there is some wording in there that could be certainly changed so that councils down the road do not run into the same sort of situation.
I was just gonna make a one comment that, as you saw here tonight, that on, like on the, first off, I'll back up, that it was, I think there's a little bit of issues on the way the bylaw is written, because it said that we are to take the lowest bid, but then it said at the end, you had a caveat that said not the lowest bid doesn't always the one that has to be taken. And that's kind of a bit of a, to me, a conflict there. And so I'll agree with Mr. Corrigan that we should look and maybe clean that up. But tonight showed here that on the Allen Street bid, we had a lower bid in, but again, asked whether you could meet the bond requirements, couldn't meet the requirements. And so then he was disallowed because he didn't meet the requirements. So I'll say this again, that they, I don't agree with what you're saying there, Dr. Corrigan and Mr. Richards, Mr. Janke, that again, if we've got a process and sometimes we have to, we've kind of moved outside the process, but we've got to, let's stick with the process, let's check to see, and we'll go from there. Mr.
Your
Bandit.
Worship, sorry, I don't think we have moved outside of the process, in that the RFP has leniency in it, and our bylaw itself, as our city manager told us, can be brought to council to make a decision outside of that. So it's not like we're breaking rules. We have that, nothing needs to be changed in that bylaw. It's there for this specific reason. So that it says right in the bylaw that the city manager, for any reason, refers this to the city council for extenuating circumstances. Or if you're not going to award it to the lowest bidder, then it has to be, the decision is council's rather than administration's. So the wording doesn't need to be cleaned up. The wording is there to provide council with the opportunity for leniency or to sway a little bit to make other determinations on a bid.
Your Worship, if I can make a comment before we vote, I think we should get at that very quickly. The process by engineering and administration is valid, has to be respected. The risks of our taxpayers are important in this issue. There's our rules to follow. We have to follow them. In saying that, Your Worship, I think I'm ready to call the vote. So let's either yes or no.
Your Worship, if I
Mr.
might, sorry.
Laura, go ahead.
We want to support local 100%. And I agree wholeheartedly, Mel, we really should look at what is in our backyard first. However, I don't want to see us, the RFP and all of the information was supposed to be received by March the 12th. If something was missing out of that report, I don't want us to give precedence to the local companies that will go back and hold their hand to make sure everything is correct, when North Star and RGM had all of the information to us and they had a proper bid in place.
And this is also, Jennifer, correct me if not, this is also weighed on, like you say, references and on timelines, on all that type of stuff, and which were two important things that were given, and those are some of the things that were missed out of there, right? Or there are,
Yeah.
or the things that are missing.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other things, Mr. Richards?
Yeah, I think that I don't want us to rush into a vote here. I want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with what they're about to do, whatever that is. And I don't want to sway that, because I personally, this is, like I said, I'm torn on this one. I'd like again to go back to the conversation around the adherence to bylaw and procedure. What I'm struggling with on this is if this was the other way around, if it was an out-of-town bidder who was combined $50,000 below, and we knew that they made an honest mistake. They accidentally didn't make an attachment or whatever might have happened here, and I don't propose to understand what happened. But the local person was $45,000 higher, $50,000 higher. Would we be having this same debate? I would suggest we should be, but I don't know that we would be having this same debate. And that's where I'm struggling with this. I want us to be adhering to our policy, but I also don't want a rigid policy to get in the way of good common sense. So I'm looking forward to some more dialogue on this one. I am not looking forward to a quick vote, because as soon as this one's done, there's another one just like it. So let's make sure that we're all comfortable with what we do here. If I could be so bold as to say that. And I'm not sure that everybody has their mind made up. I think there's going to be hands halfway up here when we go to call this vote.
Mr. Van Betsu?
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Councillor Richards, for that, to make sure that we all give it serious thought. And, you know, if you read your bylaws and everything over, they all say to do in the best interest of your citizens and the taxpayer. Councillor Mickle, I will disagree. I don't think, in my opinion, that we are putting the city taxpayers at risk, other than risking losing $27,000 on going to the higher price bids. I really, and whether or not, you know, if it was an out-of-town contractor, would we give them the same consideration? Probably not, but again, we're here to support our local contractors, our local taxpayers, and our local citizens. By giving it to local contractors, that's putting money in the pockets of our taxpayers for $27,000 less than
Counselor,
an out-of-town company.
Counselor Van Betsu, I guess you and I are not going to agree on this one, but that doesn't change my opinion either. And you made a point that the local people should have all this. I totally agree, but you have to play by the rules. I've always maintained that. However, the risk involved is that if we continue to do this, you will get no outside bidders at all, my friend, and then you are in trouble. And I don't think we have to postpone this for 2 more weeks. Your worship, to vote on this, you have all the information at hand. You have to make a decision. You're an elected official to make sometimes tough decisions. And that decision has to be made tonight. The facts are there. If you don't like it, vote no against it.
Mr. Corrigan?
Worship, I would just like to say that I believe that we are supporting our local businesses. We had 2 motions earlier on that supported local businesses that filled, and when they applied for them, they filled out the RFP completely and to the satisfaction of our staff. And in this particular case, the RFP was not submitted properly. And I support the recommendation of our staff in this situation, and I will take that, and I can make that decision tonight.
Any other comments? Because I believe that it's time to either time that I'll call the question, or if someone wants to raise the idea that they want to table it again for 2 weeks, then now's your chance. But if not, I'll be ready to call the question.
Call the question.
All right, call the question. All those in favor of the motion, which again is to for North Star and the well, heavens here, and RGM contracting to be awarded. Call the question. Mr. Van Betsu.
No.
Mr. Janke.
Yes.
Councillor Corrigan.
Yes.
Councillor Richards.
Yes.
Councillor Morissette.
Yes.
Councillor Mickle.
Yes.
Mayor Roy. Yes. And with that, the vote was 6-1. That completes unfinished business. Moving forward, we have.
Your worship, actually, your worship, sorry, we had split those into 2 parts. So the motion that was tabled was only for the pedestrian ramps installation. We also need to look at the 5th Street paving. That's a separate, or 5th Street North Sidewalk. That's a separate motion, so we'll need a motion for that one as well.
Jennifer, if you would, please.
Your worship, I have that motion if you want.
Okay, go ahead with the motion then.
Okay, this is Councilor Mickle. I'll make a motion that the bid of RGM Contracting, Inc. For the installation of the Fifth Street North Sidewalk in the amount of $96,661.40 be approved as recommended.
Second? Anybody,
Councilor Richards, I'll second that.
discussion? Hearing none, call the question. Those in favor? Mr. Van Betchu,
No.
Councilor Janky,
Yes.
Councilor Corrigan,
Yes.
Councilor Richards,
Yes.
Councilor Morissette,
Yes.
Councilor Mickle,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Moving forward, that was 6-1. As noted. That completes unfinished business. We're moving forward to, there's no new business, requires an announcements. Is there anything?
If I may, Your Worship,
Yes.
I just want to give a shout out to Tanya Cameron and the Drama Club over at Weyburn Comp. They found a fantastic way to showcase the talent over there and to showcase our city by putting their production online this year. If anyone hasn't seen it yet, there's a few more shows they could check out.
Also, I'd like to just make a note to the council and to the citizen of Weyburn that with the passing of Prince Philip, whether you're into the monarchy or not, he is still the Queen's husband. I went to the Lieutenant Governor's website, and at that point, there's a place to offer the condolence, and I offer the condolence from myself, from the council, and from all the citizens of Weyburn to the royal family at the time of grief. Prince Philip was very much a part of Canada, came here numerous times, so I offer our condolences on the part of our community. So. Anything, any further announcements? There's no notice of motions, and then with that, we shall adjourn the meeting.